All right. Is it going? You want to give me a thumbs up? I don't think I can see it.
Yes, it should be recording.
Cool. Did everyone in the chat get the notification that's being recorded? Or you can give me a thumbs up. All right, perfect. All right, so we can go ahead and get started, everyone. First and foremost, thanks for joining our second career advocate session. And just to see where everyone's at, can you give a thumbs up if you attended our first session? So we just want to see where everyone's at. And if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. If this is your first session, we're just glad you're here, and you can always watch the first session. All right, cool. So we have about like 10 around like over 10 people so far that went through the first. Nice. So half of the people here or a good chunk of folks. Now, how many of you have actually completed the third requirement of attending one of our workshops? So thumbs up if you have, and if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. Okay, go. So we have like a few people. So if you're here now, you went through the first session, you did the third one, you're pretty much like almost done with the whole program. You just have to attend the last session in the spring. And again, for the third requirement, you just have to attend one of our workshops, whether that's virtual or in person, anytime in the fall or spring. Okay, so you still have time. So with that said, for today's session, we're going to be going over our online career tools. So a lot of tools that we use, to really help students explore careers, but also, help them, give them tools that will help them in the job search process. And so these are the tools that we use every day as a career center. So we're gonna make sure, you really learn about that today. But first, for those of you just coming here for the first time, we just want to go ahead and introduce ourselves as a committee. And so my name is Matthew Gonzalez. And then we also have Michelle Linton. Okay, and we also have Mary Ann Nguyen, who's been emailing all of you. And so yeah, so we're a committee of three. We call ourselves the Three Musketeers. Just because we're Michelle, Matthew, and Mary Ann. But yeah, so thanks again. And for those of you just joining us, real quick overview of the Career Advocate Program. So pretty much our goal with all of this is, for one, we know that for staff and faculty, you see students, on a daily basis, and oftentimes you might get career-related questions. So our goal is to create a career everywhere campus, where you're able to just be able to answer some of those questions. And there's kind of three main areas that we're covering throughout the program, to help you kind of navigate those questions. And for one area, was to learn about our services, and we did that through our first session. So for those of you who hasn't watched that video, please make sure to do so. You'll learn more about the program. The second piece to this is learning about our online career tools, which is today's session. And the third piece is to really dive into our plan your future models. All right. And that's gonna be in our last session in the spring. Okay. Um, yeah, so we're just really glad to have a lot of folks interested in the Career Advocate program. Because overall, as a career center, we only have six career counselors, and there's over 41,000 students, right, on campus. So we do appreciate the support and help that all of you are going to give by being able to answer a lot of questions from your students. Cool. So with that said, it's a quick overview. And so we're going to go ahead and dive into our session today. And so to get us started, um, let me pull these up. To get us started, um, we're gonna launch a poll right now to just see what tools you're familiar with, or might have even used with in your work with students. So if you could take the time to answer the poll, and if you're not familiar with any of these, that's perfectly fine. That's why we're here today. Cool. All right, let's see. Oh, wow. Wow, cool. Yeah, so what we're seeing right now, a lot of you are 19 out of 20 are familiar with CareerLink. One person is familiar with CareerShift, one familiar with Forge, eight of you are familiar with Beach Nexus, and 2 are familiar with Candid Career, 6 with Big Interview, and none with Case Coach. But this is great though. Like literally almost every single one of these, a lot of someone is familiar with it, right? And so yeah, so we're gonna definitely dive into these so that you know how to kind of direct to students to use this so that you know what it's about. Cool. So let me share. Are we sharing? No. Let me share the results real quick so you can just see it. But yeah, so those are the results we went over. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, let me close this out. All right, cool. So we're gonna go pretty much in the order that you see here. We'll first go into CareerLink. For CareerLink, it will be a quick overview just because the first recording dives into it in a lot of detail. So we'll do a quick overview of CareerLink, but it's pretty much our main job search database and also just the hub we have for accessing all of our services, events, and so forth. And then we're gonna go into Career Shift, which is another really cool job board that students have access to that they could find in CareerLink, or actually pretty much all the tools you see here, you could access through CareerLink. And then we're gonna go through Forage. It's a virtual experience platform where students could kind of do projects and tasks for specific companies. So that they could kind of just gain experience within certain areas so that they could learn more about like a specific like industry or so forth. And then Beach Nexus, most of you kind of know about Beach Nexus, right? It's a mentoring platform where students have access to professionals, right? They could ask questions and just get guidance and just tips and advice from folks. And then we're gonna go into Candid Career. This is pre-recorded videos of professionals just talking about their position and also just giving tips and advice as well for students. And then we're gonna go into Big Interview. This is just our a tool that we use to help students prepare for interviews. And so we're gonna really dive into that. And last but not least, Case Coach. This is to prepare folks who want to go into consulting. And it's gonna prepare them for case interviews. All right, cool. So yeah, so this seems like a lot, right? I just went through a bunch of different tools with you, but we're gonna dive through each one. And so for the first area, we're gonna go ahead. And so let me get out of. We're gonna go through CareerLink, and so at this point, we're gonna do a live demonstration of the tools. Okay, but you are gonna get a copy of our PowerPoint where there's screenshots of pretty much what we're sharing with you. All right, cool. And I think I'm getting some background noise. If people could mute their what do you call it, their videos, that'd be helpful. That way the video recording is going to be clear for folks who are watching this later on. And also other pieces. If you have any questions at any given point, please feel free to unmute yourselves, or you could drop it in the chat. We are going to be looking at the chat the whole time. All right. Cool. Did I miss anything so far, Michelle? We good? All right, we're doing good. All right, so let me go ahead and exit. Whoops, let me exit this, and we're gonna hop over to here. All right, so you can see all the tabs we're gonna go over. All the tools are ready for us to go through. So the first one here is CareerLink. Let me go ahead and minimize this. Okay, cool. Let me put this up here. All right, so this is CareerLink. A lot of you are already familiar with it since a good majority of you went through the first session. But for those of you that's just joining us, so this is CareerLink. And so I'll walk you through a few features. One of the main key things for CareerLink is our job board. So a lot of students use this to look for jobs or internships, volunteer work, or I could actually show you. So full-time jobs, on-campus, off-campus jobs. A popular one is our federal work study. So a lot of students who want to look for a federal work study opportunity, they could filter and use this to find all of them that we have. So for now, let's do a quick job search. And so let me go ahead and let's do social media manager, for example. You're gonna see 685 postings, so that's a lot of different opportunities, right? And usually what I tell students is the more filters you use, the more narrow it gets. But if you want to keep it broad, right, then you could just kind of put keywords on here and you'll kind of see everything that's connected to this keyword, all right? Now, one cool feature I just want to share real quick is that students could star or add to their favorites different postings. And they could also do it like as you can see here, they could save it while they could review it and save it. And then what this helps them do is when they go up to the save area right here, click, they can see all the positions they've saved. And this way, they could this helps them to kind of have everything all together, and they could prioritize based on deadlines and what they need to submit and so forth. That way, it just helps them to be organized in the job search process. So that's kind of a cool feature that we wanted to share. And yeah, and again, we have a very detailed walkthrough of our job board, or how to use this function in our first video. But the other thing I want to kind of do a refresher on is on our events section right here. This is where students could access all of our different events. As you can see here, we have 3 different types. We have job fairs. So we just had a job fair recently, and then we have all of our workshops, information sessions. And so we have 10 more workshops left for this semester, as you can see here. And then let me kind of get out of that. For information sessions, pretty much we have employers who come into the Career Center and they talk about their company, opportunities that they have with students, so students can network with them, ask them good questions. And so and these are updating because we have employers who just kind of sign up for these any given week. And so the 7 you see here, there could be more pretty much. But yeah, so those are our different types of events. Okay. And again, part of the first video, it'll kind of cover that as well. All right, but for today's session, what we're really gonna go over are our resources, all right? And so where do you access all of our resources, all the tools we're gonna go over? Students could access it through the resources tab up here. And when you scroll down, you'll see all the online tools, right? So we're gonna go over CareerShift, Big Interview, Beach Nexus, Forage, so a good majority of these. This is pretty much where you could direct students to access these, okay? All right. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Michelle, who's gonna be going over CareerShift.
All right, thank you, Matt. Okay, so to introduce our next tool, CareerShift is a job board, as Matt shared with us earlier. We are going to launch another poll to ask about what different online job boards you have used to look for jobs. So Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, or none of the above. All right, looks like most of us have had a chance to answer. So if we want to end the poll and share the results. Okay, so we can see that the vast majority of us have used both Indeed and LinkedIn. A few of us have used ZipRecruiter, and then also a few of us have not used any of these tools, but we can see that definitely Indeed and LinkedIn are really popular ones. So the cool thing about CareerShift is that it is actually going to pull positions from all of these places and put them in one spot. So a lot of students have really liked this tool. So I'm going to walk you through how students can use it. So I'll be honest with you, I find the interface on CareerShift to be a little overwhelming. So the first thing that I do when I use it is I minimize the left-hand column, and it just makes it a little friendlier to the eye. So for the job board, you're going to want to go to where it says jobs, and then you'll click search. All right, so the first thing that we can do with the job board is to type in whatever keywords you're using. So let's say I am a student who's interested in like a merchandising internship. I can type in merchandising as my keyword. I definitely want to search by area because this is pulling from online positions and they could be pulled from anywhere. So I'm going to want to enter my zip code. And then I can select the radius. So I'll say, let's try 50 miles. I can also turn on the advanced search, and that is going to allow me to select the type of position that I'm looking for. So for job type, I'm going to select internship. Also, one thing I want to point out in the area criteria, there's also an option to search for remote and work from home jobs. So if that's something that students are particularly interested in, they can check that. So we're going to go ahead and see what results we get. Okay, so we can see some different internships that came up here, and it's going to tell you the source for each of them. So I can see this one's from entertainmentcareers.net. We have one from talent.com. We have a few down here from LinkedIn. So definitely pulling from different sources. And when you click on the job title or the internship title, it is going to redirect you to wherever the position was originally posted. So they're not actually applying through CareerShift. It's basically just helping them to find those positions. So while the CareerLink job board that Matt showed is really the main resource that we recommend to students because all the positions in there are from employers who are actively recruiting from Cal State Long Beach, we know that not every employer is going to do that. So we recommend that students use a variety of job search resources. So CareerShift can be a really nice complement to CareerLink jobs because it is going to pull from different places. So it'll help students to see a wider variety of positions. So this is, I would say, the main thing that students tend to use CareerShift for, but there's another really cool tool in here. If I scroll up, there's this contacts feature on the left-hand side. So what contacts is going to let you do, if you go to search, is to search for people working in different companies. So let's say that I am really interested in working for Nordstrom, right? Maybe we're still looking for those merchandising opportunities and I want to type in the company name and find people working there. So it's starting off with actually like, you know, the chief executive officer, you know, Eric Nordstrom. He might not be the exact person I want to reach out to, but I can look through here to find different people working at the company and hopefully get their contact information. So let's say I'm interested in marketing. I see this person's the chief marketing officer. I can click on that person's name and see if there's any contact information. So for this individual, we can see that there's both an email address and a phone number. So, you know, usually students would probably go with the email to reach out to that individual. If they were trying to, say, do an informational interview, you know, network with individuals working at this company. So that can be a really great way of finding contact information. I will say that not every person that you'll find in CareerShift actually has the contact info. It might just have their name and their position title and maybe like the city. So it can be a little bit hit and miss depending on the individual or the company, but it's always a great place to check if somebody is really trying to network and reach out to somebody maybe in, you know, recruiting at a certain organization. This can be a great tool. Additionally, maybe they found somebody's name, they know of a person at a company, so they can search by the person's name rather than just searching by the company. So they can use that feature in different ways. So definitely a great resource if people are looking into different kind of networking avenues for different companies or positions that they might be interested in. So those are the basics of CareerShift. I think a lot of students have given us really great feedback on that. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next tool since we have a lot to cover today. And I'm going to ask Marianne to go ahead and launch our next poll to help us transition into our next tool. So let's just imagine that you were not working at Cal State Long Beach and you were going to work for a different company. Which of these companies would you most want to work for? So we have Bank of America, Lululemon, the New York Times, or Hewlett Packard. All right, looks like most of us have had a chance to answer, so we can go ahead and share the results. Okay, so New York Times, definitely the most popular. I'm right there with you. I think that would be very cool. Followed by Lululemon, and then we've got a few for Bank of America and Hewlett Packard, so we are pretty spread out. So this is going to lead us into our next tool called Forage. So Forage, as Matt introduced us to when he got us started with this presentation, Forage is going to allow students to do virtual experience projects with actual companies. So when we scroll down in Forage, you can see all of the different possibilities, but students can actually search by career interests. So let's say I am interested in banking and financial services. I will see all of these different projects I can do related to different elements of roles in that industry. So let's say I am interested in investment banking and I want to take a look at this project with JP Morgan. So it's going to start by giving me some information about what this project entails. So over here, I can see that it's going to take maybe 3 to 4 hours to complete. All of these projects are self-paced. So students can, spend 5 minutes a day, an hour a day, like they can do it all in one afternoon, whatever is going to work best for them. They can also see the skills that they'll be learning and practicing when doing this project. So this tool is really helpful for a couple of different reasons. One, if students are looking to build certain skills to be able to put those on their resume or build up just experience to put on their resume. This is a great tool if maybe somebody's wanting to do some projects to help them qualify for internships they're interested in, or maybe a student is not able to do an internship for whatever reason, and they're trying to get more content on their resume that's geared towards their career goals and what they want to do after they graduate. Forage is a great resource for that because they can actually list these projects on their resumes in a project section. So that is one main reason that somebody might want to do a project here. But another option that students can use this for is for career exploration. So maybe they're interested in investment banking, but they don't know a whole lot about it. They can do a project, and these are actual like job simulations that were created by these companies. So JP Morgan created this project, and when a student scrolls down, they can actually see what tasks they would be doing as a part of this project. So they can go through and try this out and say like, hey, did I like doing this project? Is investment banking something that I want to explore further? So this is a great tool both for building experience to put on the resume, but also exploring different career options, but also different companies, right? You can learn a little bit more about the company as you're doing that project. Once a student completes a project, Forage will provide them with bullet points that they can then, adapt and incorporate into their resume. So that can be really helpful for a lot of students who might not be sure how to really communicate what they did in that project. Forage will get them started with some bullet points that, again, they can adapt. The other thing that it allows students to do is if they want to, they can let the company know that they did a project with them. So they can check a little box and say, yes, I want to let JP Morgan or know, whichever company they're working with, that I did a project. No one is able to go in and see the project. So this is not going to be reviewed by anybody, which I think makes students usually feel a lot more relaxed and like they're willing to try something new. No one is going to say, you did a good job, you did a bad job. It's more just that they completed it. The employer also can't see how long it took them to complete it. All they would see if a student indicates that they want to share that is that they took the time to do a virtual experience project with them. And Forage has shared some numbers with us that these companies are more than twice as likely to want to hire somebody who took the time to do a project with them because they have indicated that interest and have learned more about their organization. So a pretty cool tool. I will say it doesn't offer projects in every area. It has a lot of different options, but students can always look and see if there's something that is in alignment with their interests and that they might want to explore further. All right, so I believe I'm going to pass it back over to Matt.
Cool. We did get one question, Michelle, in the chat. And so Cindy's asking, does anyone review the output related to this?
Yeah, so that's in line with what I was sharing about how the employer, like we don't see it in the Career Center, the employer's not seeing the content. So there's no review process. It's just that students can get the experience and then they can choose to share that with the employer if they want to, but the employer's not seeing the project. They're just seeing that the student completed it.
Perfect. Cool. Does anyone have any questions so far? We're like almost halfway through. But yeah, any other questions so far? Everyone, can I get a thumbs up? Everyone hanging in there?
Hi, Matt. This is Nancy. I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding the beginning of the presentation, maybe I missed it, but what are some differences between like info sessions and workshops?
Of course. Yeah. And so for workshops, they're typically presented by the career counselors. So all of us, me, Michelle, and the other counselors. And it's like kind of more like a professional development opportunity for students to learn about resume writing. Like it's a lot of different career topics like interview tips, LinkedIn, right? Whereas an information session is an actual employer from a company that's coming to the career center to talk about their company, organization, and the opportunities that they have for students. Does that?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
of course. Thanks for asking. We did have a question in the chat. How would you recommend for this experience to be listed on their resume?
Yeah, speak to that. So we would recommend doing that in a project section. So students don't want to list this as like a work experience or an internship, but they can list it as a project section. And Matt will be covering at the end some sample resumes that we have on our website, and we actually have examples of how to list projects there.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. Cool. Yeah. So thanks for the questions. Again, if you have more, you can put it in the chat. And so for the next tool we're gonna go over, before we go over that tool, actually, we're gonna launch our next poll. So let's go ahead, Marianne. All right. So if you could have the job of one of the following people, whose job would you want? All right. And so we have Taylor Swift, we have Shohei Ohtani, Oprah Winfrey, and Gordon Ramsay. So let's go ahead and give you all time to answer that. Oh, this is interesting results. Wow. Okay, so it looks like yeah, people are still answering. Okay, we're 87% there. I think people are really thinking about it, huh? Okay, I think we're good to share. So let's go ahead and share the results. And so as you can see here, it's a bit of a tie with Oprah and Gordon. So we're at 29% for both. And then we have Taylor Swift right after, and then Shohei after that. So this is cool, right? So as you would know, right? With let me go in order. Taylor, right? She's a singer. Shohei's into sports, right? And then Oprah, a journalist, and then Gordon is a chef, right? So those are the different jobs that they have. And so now let me go ahead and stop share. You can stop sharing, Maria. Thank you. Let me close this out real quick. And so let me go ahead and transition into Beach Nexus. Okay. So it would be great, right, for those people that you selected. Wouldn't it be nice to just be able to like reach out to one of them and just ask about their jobs and how they got there, tips, advice. So pretty much Beach Nexus is a site where you get to do that. Not with them, unfortunately, but with other professionals in a specific field that a student might be interested in, right? And so with Beach Nexus, this pretty much includes staff, alumni, and also employers that are tied to the university, to Cal State Long Beach. Okay, and so for them, they actually join Beach Nexus with the intention of wanting to be a resource for current students. And there's also alumni to alumni mentorship. So even for students once they graduate, they could still hop on here and also still connect and ask questions to the people on here. And so yeah, let me kind of show you real quick one of the key features. And I know majority of you have used Beach Nexus, but for those that's just learning about it now, so how I would navigate this is I would go to the connect right here and go to community. Okay, this is where students could pretty much see all the industry experts. Oh, cool. We're actually already there. All right, cool. And so there you have it. And then they could just do a search and they could search different things. So for now, for example, let's say you're an accounting student and you want to find professionals who's currently in accounting. So we have here finance accounting, accountant at Elite Tax Accounting, Arcadia, and so forth. And so the cool thing about Beach Nexus compared to LinkedIn is that with LinkedIn, you're kind of limited with who you could message and how much you could like message them or how much characters you could include in a message. Whereas in Beach Nexus, you could pretty much message anyone on here, for any questions you may have as a student, right? Now, for some students, it might be helpful to connect with someone with a shared identity, right? Someone they could relate to or really identify with. So the cool thing about Beach Nexus, if you go to more filter right here, you could actually do, for example, let me choose male for for myself, and then let's do for race. Let's see. I'll do Pacific Islander. All right, cool. So when you're able to do this, you could actually find people, or students could find people, who they might feel like they might be, sorry, whom they might feel more comfortable reaching out to and connecting with. And so yeah, we thought that's a really cool feature of this. Other than that, and it's kind of cool. Like me as a career counselor, I've actually had students who's messaged me, who's interested to become a career counselor, and they're just asking me, "Hey, how was your grad school experience like?" Or like, "What made you interested in career counseling?" Anyone else in the chat? If you ever got a student like who reached out to you asking you questions, who's used Speech Nexus? Just out of curiosity. Anyone else in the chat? Oh, okay. I guess yeah, no one. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Cool. But so there you have it. That's pretty much Beach Nexus. Again, it's just a platform for students to find professionals. If they want to learn more about certain careers, it's a good way to connect with people and maybe do like an informational interview, right? Where they'll just pick their brains and like really just again just learn more from experts in the profession. Let me just see any questions. Oh, cool. I think we have extra questions. So as an instructor, where do we find forage? I don't see a resource tab at the top of the career link. And am I missing something? So for that, Michelle,
They ended up finding it.
Matthew, I
they
actually
found
ended up
oh, you found it?
finding it.
No worries. I fixated on your first question, didn't see the
Yeah,
follow-up.
sorry. I ended up seeing that it's on the right-hand side instead of on the image. It was at the top. So all good. Thank you, though.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but thanks for bringing it up. We want to make sure everyone knows where everything is. Cool. Well, there you have it. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to our next tool. Okay, so again, this is still part of career exploration tools, and so now we're gonna go over candid career. So let's say for students, some of them might not feel comfortable reaching out to someone or messaging a professional. Okay, and if they're not comfortable with that, we do have candid career, which pretty much has a bunch of videos of professionals from so many different industries who are talking about their profession and a lot of different topics as it connects to their jobs. Okay, and again, so they're not interviewing them; they're just watching videos. All right, and so within here, if you go to explore careers, let's go by industries. Okay. All right, so you see there's a bunch of different industries, right? And so let's go ahead and use one as an example. You know what? Let's do entertainment. All right, let's do entertainment. Okay, so here are most recent videos for folks within the entertainment industry, right? So we have a film and television director, we got a producer. So let's say you have a student who comes up to you and they're interested in becoming a producer one day, right? And so you're able to direct them to this tool, and we click on Mark right here. Let's go ahead and click on Mark. Okay, cool. What you'll see kind of a description that he included on here, but more importantly, you'll see the video segments. Okay, so there's pretty much a bunch of short videos that touch on different things, and when you click on one, it'll kind of lead you to that area. But for him, he discusses the job description, right? So what he does on a day-to-day basis, also what the loves and challenges are. So I think that's what students find really helpful, right? Not just the cool things about the job, but the kind of things that might be a bit more challenging that not everyone would know about unless they hear directly from someone, right, in the field, like Mark over here. How to prepare, so tips and advice that would be beneficial for them, kind of preparing for this. And just his experience, I think at the university he graduated from. I think that's what UVA is. But yeah, so there you have it. So again, it's just a hub for students. if they're not comfortable reaching out to folks and they just want to watch videos of actual professionals talking about their fields, this would pretty much be the area for that. All right. So really, really simple, really cool tool. And that's pretty much it. The main thing I wanted to cover for this. And so with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it back over to Michelle.
Thank you, Matt. All right, so we are going to shift gears into talking about our interview prep tools. So we have 2 more tools to go through. Thank you all for hanging in there. I know it's a lot of information, but as Matt shared, we will be sending you a PowerPoint with screenshots so that you can go back and reference any that you need to. But we are going to do one more poll to see what your interview experience has been like in the past. So what is your least favorite interview question? We know that, interviewing might not be fun overall, but sometimes there are those particular questions that we really struggle with. So we wanted to see what those were for the group here. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds to give everyone a chance to respond. All right, so let's take a look at the results. Okay, so I'm not shocked. So for almost half of us, what is your biggest weakness is our least favorite. Then we've got a tie between tell me about yourself and where do you see yourself in 5 years. Looks like most of us are a little bit more comfortable by why should we hire you? But all of these questions can definitely be tricky. So our interview prep tool, Big Interview, is actually going to assist you with answering all of these questions. So obviously we have it for students, but you can use it too, right? Like this is a resource that we can all use. So let's take a look at Big Interview and see what it has to offer. So for students, when they're using Big Interview, they're going to land on their dashboard page. And so when students first log into Big Interview through their CareerLink account, they will need to register using their CSULB email address, but they'll just need to do that once, and then they'll be able to log in directly anytime they use it moving forward. So if we go up to the Interview tab, the main place that we recommend students start is the interview curriculum. This is designed to help students learn how to be successful in interviews. The most widely utilized tool is going to be the Fast Track. This is designed to get students up and running for interviews pretty quickly. So it'll play videos. All of the content is in video format, but then there's a transcript below the video if reading works better for somebody. So for the Fast Track, it's broken down into 3 sections. Interview fundamentals, that's going to go into how to read the job description and analyze it, what to wear, general types of interviews they might encounter, all that good stuff. It goes into acing common questions. This is where it has videos for tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? Behavioral questions, talking about strengths and weaknesses. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And then it's also going to go into closing the deal, which will touch on salary questions, but also what questions the student might want to ask the employer. So this is where I recommend that most students start if they are preparing for an interview. But there are a lot of other resources as well. So one I wanted to highlight in the curriculum section is also the interview playbooks. These are resources for students in certain populations. So if they're a new graduate, maybe they're doing an internal interview, like they did an internship with a company and now they're applying for a job there. You can see a lot of other options. So students with disabilities, students where English is a second language, career changers, a lot of different resources in here. So if any of these apply to your students, they can take advantage of those resources. So once they have kind of wrapped their head around the interview, going through the curriculum, there's another tool in here that's the build answer feature. So if we move over to the far right-hand side, it'll say build answer. This is where students can actually go in and write down their thoughts as to how they want to approach these questions. So if they need a place to organize their thoughts, this is a great resource. So you can see the question options here. They can do this for behavioral questions, tell me about yourself, weaknesses, all of that. But also they have a free form answer. So really students can use this for any interview question that they're preparing for. We don't recommend that students write down every word, right? They're not writing down a speech that they're going to recite, but more a place to organize their talking points and things that they want to make sure to cover when they are approaching their answers for these questions. They can also then export their answers, so they can have those available to them outside of the platform. All right, so once students are feeling like they kind of have prepared and they want to actually start practicing, we recommend that they look at the practice sets. So the practice sets are great because you can do them by industry. They also have options for admissions. So if you have students who are preparing for grad school interviews, they can take a look at this resource and see how helpful that might be for them. So there's a lot of different options in here, but I'd say industry is probably the most commonly used. So students can look and find their industry. So for today, let's look at art and design. And let's say somebody's applying to be an animator. They will see interview questions related specifically to being an animator, but also questions that are going to touch on skills that are typically sought after in that field. So let's start here. We say we want to practice with Freddie. So students will see the questions appear on the left-hand side. They can skip around, answer whatever questions they want, but it'll just expose them to the types of questions they might encounter in an interview for this kind of role. They can actually play the video of the person asking them the question. If they're not quite sure how to approach the question, there are tips in the bottom right-hand corner for most of these. So if they click on tips, it'll walk them through really like, this is what they're asking you. This is why. This is what you want to focus on in your response. So when they're ready, the student can actually start recording themselves answering the question, and then they can go back and review their responses, which I know most of us don't love doing, but they can actually do that if they go up to the interview tab, and they'll be saved in the My Videos part of it. So they can go back, watch themselves, and learn from seeing themselves actually practice answering those questions. So a lot of different resources in here. But there's actually another component unique to faculty and staff that is pretty cool. You can create assignments for your students in Big Interview. So I'm going to switch over to the admin side of things. And after this presentation, I will be creating Big Interview admin accounts for all of you. That will give you the ability to go in and create assignments. So some of you I know already have those accounts, but for those who don't, I'll be creating those for you. So you should get an email confirming that your admin account was created. So then you'll be able to go in and create those assignments. So to create an assignment, you're going to want to go to where it says add new assignment. It'll ask for assignment details, right? So a title for the assignment. Right now, I'm just going to say test. You can add a description if you want. You can set a due date, or you can leave it open-ended, just depending on how you're using this. You can set a time limit if you want to. Usually we recommend about 2 minutes for a typical interview question answer. You can make it unlimited as far as the number of takes they can do, or if you want to limit it, you can say, okay, you get 2 chances, 3 chances, however you want to set it. You also have the option to allow users to share externally. You would want to select this if you were going to try to organize an assignment where you want to do like peer interviews or enable your students to share their interviews in any way. You'd want to be sure to select that. You can also make your assignment private so that nobody else is able to see your assignment if it's for whatever reason of a more private nature. So a lot of different options, but I'm going to go ahead and save and continue. You then can use a template to build your question list, or you can build your own. I prefer to build my own, but if you want to start with a template, you're welcome to do that. Build your own will actually allow you to see existing templates as well. So I just find it a little bit more user-friendly. These are the templates that you can see. So if you do build your own, you can actually just see all the templates that are available. So let's say you want to do an assignment for your students that focuses on preparing for an interview. You can see all of these template questions that you can choose from. So if you want to add a question, right? So you want to start with, why are you interested in interning with us? You're just going to click the little plus sign and it's going to add it to your question list. You can also search for questions. So if you don't want to, look through these templates, you can search for something specific. So let's say I want to ask the weakness question. I just search for weakness. And then it's going to pull up different question options that have the weakness in them. So again, I can click the plus sign to add it over to my question set. I can also reorder questions by just dragging them. I can also create custom questions. So if I go to custom questions, I can add my own question and I can actually record myself asking it. So there's a lot of great tools to customize your question set in here. So I'm going to work with what we've got so far and say save and continue. I also have the option to add lessons to my question set. And for those of you who've been using this tool, I think this is a newer resource. I haven't seen this before. So if you are going to ask these questions and you say, hey, I want them to watch like one of the lessons from the curriculum, you can actually click on the different options here and you can add some of these lessons. Maybe you want them to watch what to wear. Maybe you want to have them watch how to answer the tell me about yourself question. You can again click the plus sign and it's going to add that lesson. If you want the lesson to go first, again, you can just drag to reorder them. So again, I'm going to save and continue. Then we get to the criteria. I always recommend doing the custom criteria because the default is just going to kind of save all of those for you and it doesn't let you edit them. So I do recommend doing the custom criteria. And this is where you can select what criteria you want to use. So you can add all of these if you want, or just a couple of them. So I'm just going to say answers the question well, and let's say communicates enthusiasm is what I want to evaluate students on. So I will save and continue. You can share the assignment with students by entering their email addresses. I think it's easier to just say skip inviting users, and then it's going to, once you save and publish your assignment, it's going to give you a code, and then you just give that code to students, they go in and enter it. I find that to be easier, but it's up to you how you want to do that. So you can copy the code, and that's what you would share with students to have them be able to complete the assignments. Really quickly, if we go to assignments, this is where you're going to be able to review any submissions. So here I created a test earlier and I would say, actually, I'm going to click on the title to go into the assignment and I would say review now. It's going to give me the option to review each individual question, or if I just want to review the entire assignment, it's going to show me the criteria that I already set. So then you can say, you know, evaluate them like there. You can add comments and then you can save your review and the student will be notified that you've reviewed their assignment. So I know that's a lot of information, but it's a really cool tool that allows you to use this in a lot of different ways for your students and really customize whatever assignments you have. Does anybody have questions about Big Interview? And if you want to play around with it and you have questions that come up, you can always reach out to me after the fact. Yes, somebody had a question.
Quick question. Yes.
Yes.
How long after a student graduates do they continue having access to this, or does their access get discontinued post-graduation?
With Big Interview specifically? So, okay,
Yes.
so so generally speaking, students have access to all of our online services, any of our tools at any point after they graduate. So there's no cutoff date. So if they already have an existing student account, they will still be able to use this tool as an alumni. They just have to access it a little bit differently. They will have, because they'll lose access to single sign-on eventually. So they'll have to access it through our website. So there is an alumni tab on the Career Center website, and that's where they can access all of this. We can actually even create alumni accounts if somebody didn't use it as a student, but they want to as an alumni, but I have to go in and do that because they won't typically be using that CSULB email address. So either way they have access, but if they already use it as a student, then they can just go in and continue to use it. All right, any other questions on Big Interview? All right, so then I'm just going to touch on our last tool. This is a pretty specialized one. It is for interview prep, but as Matthew shared earlier, it's designed for preparation for case interviews. So case interviews are typically used in the consulting field, and they are going to ask students to solve challenging business problems. And so Nancy, yes, you're going to access all of these tools through CareerLink. So for Case Coach, if students are wanting to go in the consulting field, we use this a lot with our graduate business students, but sometimes, you know, these types of case interviews are popping up in other industries. It's sort of a growing interview technique, but it's pretty intense. It's like they're given us a problem, they have to solve it in a specified amount of time. So Case Coach is a new tool we have, and it really helps to prepare them. So we recommend they use that generating a personal preparation preparation plan that you see on the right-hand side, where they can actually enter like the date of their interview. So then it'll create a customized preparation plan for them based on how much time they have. So it'll say, okay, day 1, you need to do this. Day 2, you want to do this. Day 3, do this. So some other options they have is they can book a practice section with another student, either from Cal State Long Beach or other students on the platform from other schools, and they can practice with each other. They can do practice drills that'll just be in the platform to help them prepare. Or if they choose, they can actually book a coaching session. There is a cost associated with that, and so students can see how much that would cost. So if they want to do that, that would be with other like professionals that are on the platform. They can help coach them through that process. So this is something that we don't expect most of you probably to be encountering with your students, but if you are, in like College of Business and end up working with any students that are preparing for a case interview, this is a great platform that's available to them. All right, so that's it for me, and I'll go ahead and pass it back off to Matt. But if you have any questions that come up, feel free to keep popping those in the chat.
Perfect. All right. So so that pretty much covers all of the tools that we had in that first slide, or one of those beginning slides earlier. But we wanted to share just 2 additional tools that students might find very helpful. And so as a career center, in most cases, we have students coming in who need support with their resumes. And so one of the most things that they find helpful when we show it to them is our resume samples, okay? And so if you go on our main website, career or CDC website, so we have here www.chsu.edu/career-development-center. And Marianne, if you could drop this in the chat for them, that'd be great. And so once you're on here, if we go to students, you could go to resume and cover letters, okay? So students, resume and cover letters. And once you're on here, you could access all of the sample resumes underneath the second accordion right here, okay? And so there's a sample for all types of different resumes. We have samples for freshmen, and then we have samples by college, and this is often the area that students find very helpful. And so for example, let me click on College of Business real quick. Cool. So as you can see here, the resume is very, very well organized, and so the format's very clean. And as Michelle mentioned earlier, when it comes to writing a project section, the samples could show you how that looks, right? We had a question earlier. How do you include the Forge task into a project into your resume? So this is what a project section could look like. And so yeah, we just wanted to quickly just share with you that there are a lot of great samples that we have on here, not just for resume, but also how to break down a cover letter as well too. If that's something you get asked about from students, okay? And then one very last tool we want to share with you, and then we can kind of go into general Q&A, is our YouTube channel. All right, so on our YouTube page, we have a ton of videos on a bunch of different topics that we either presented on in the Career Center or an event that we had with an employer. Like for example, I just did this I think I did this yesterday or a few days ago, sometime this week. I delivered the Getting the Most Out of LinkedIn workshop, and I uploaded it here on our YouTube channel. And as you can see, we have a ton of different topics, Beach Nexus overview, Candid Career overview. So if you want a more detailed breakdown of tools too, it's on there. But we also record some of our employer events as well. And so this is just a really cool tool that could be helpful for a lot of students. All right. And so with that said, I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint to kind of wrap things up. So let me go lower. As you can see, a bunch of screenshots that you all will have access to. But let me skip all of those screenshots, go all the way down, almost there. All right, we went over that, we were here, last slide. Okay, go. Let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. All right. Okay, go. So for the last concluding slide, we just want to show you a lot. For those of you who attended the first session, you should have got access to this handout. But we're gonna make sure in the follow-up email that you're gonna be receiving that you'll have the recording of this in addition to the PDF copy of the slides, but also we'll reattach the tools handout that you all got. And on this tools handout, it pretty much has majority of the tools that we went over today and how students can access it, you could even just share it, print this out and share it with the student, and give them a quick overview based on what you've learned, and be like, hey, look, here's a handout, here's how you could access that tool. Okay, we even have the link to our YouTube channel, and so forth. Cool. And with that said, on the left hand side, we just want to remind everyone of the very last session, which is our adopting your plan your future model, and also our recognition ceremony. And so this is kind of our celebration as well for you completing the program. We're going to award you with your certificate, the letter of recommendation, your digital badge. We'll have food for everyone, so it's a really fun gathering. And so for this, it's required, it's in person, Friday, April 25, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So please mark your calendars. If you could attend, that'd be perfect. Here, and it's gonna be here in Brotman Hall, room 250. Okay, and if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to complete the other requirement of attending one CDC workshop, either virtual or in person, anytime this semester or anytime in the spring. All right. And Michelle, we have winter workshops too, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to do one during the winter break as well, we do have presentations throughout winter as well. Cool. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing, and we could just answer any questions you may have. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Perfect. That was